welcome to today's session. Today we have Dr. Regina Stokes Offodile, and she is the Associate Dean of Student Affairs and Admissions. As a graduate of Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science, her career has come full circle. She is blessed with the opportunity to give opportunity, the promise of changing the trajectory of lives and increasing the number of physicians to care for the poor and underserved. Her role as Associate Dean of Student Affairs and Admissions, her dedication to the work and legacy of Charles R. Drew University of Medicine, College of Medicine, medical education, medical student well-being, and medical student success has proven her to be an asset to Charles Drew University. And Regina, I will pass it along to you for whenever you are ready.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm sorry I got stuck in the office a little bit late, but I should be to my house and on video in about 5 or 10 minutes. But I'm just very happy to be here to be of assistance and help in any way I can. So you can just tell me what the format is. I'm not sure how the format is.
So if you have a PowerPoint when you get home, you could share that. You could just talk about Charles Drew University, and then we could have students ask you questions.
Okay, I didn't know I needed a PowerPoint, so I could just talk about my university and about my path, and then we can just have open conversations, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think that's actually, for me, that's a better format. I don't want it to be so formal like a PowerPoint. But anyway, so I can talk about my university now. Can I start?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I am the Associate Dean of Student Affairs and Admissions at Charles Drew University. We are the 157th medical school in the country. We used to be a underserved track at the UCLA School of Medicine. That's the track that I was in when I was a medical student. I was in the UCLA Drew track for underserved populations. We have thankfully been able to move forward and form a separate medical school. We have admitted 2 classes, and we're in the process of admitting our 3rd class. And we are moving through our LCME accreditation process, and it's been looking pretty good. So our classes are we have a lot of students who have taken the path through community college, and it's a track that I never knew about. I'm older, went to school a long time ago, but the community college community and educational process has really been a stepping stone and has really filled a gap for a lot of students to make that transition to be able to go to medical school. So it's a valuable place to be. If you're in junior college right now, it is a very valuable place to be to help facilitate dreams of becoming a physician. I can talk a little bit about myself. I grew up in West Philadelphia. I am the 7th of 10 children. Neither of my parents graduated from high school. I'm the first gen going to college. I am the first of my parents' 10 kids I'm number 7, and I'm the first to graduate from college. I'm the only one to actually go to medical school or professional school. Actually, I'm the first. I have a sister who's a nurse. And it's a very different perspective coming through the process that way. It's not the typical process, but there are more people with more diverse backgrounds and more diverse experiences that have been able to go to medical school. I went to Charles R. Drew, like I said. I did my general surgery residency at King Drew Medical Center. I did about 2 years of research at UCLA in oncology. I went on to graduate from my surgical residency program, and I did a breast cancer fellowship at Stanford. So ultimately, I ended up specializing in becoming a breast cancer surgeon. I practiced for a number of years, and the dream of being a teacher never left me. I went on and got a master's in health professions education from Vanderbilt University. I subsequently got a master's in management and healthcare as well. And I made the transition from clinical practice to teaching medical students full time. I started my career as an educator in medicine at Meharry Medical College in Nashville, Tennessee. I was the chief of clinical skills, the director of their simulation lab, and the interim chair of medical education. I was there for about 20 years, and about 2 years ago, I got recruited back to my home base at CDU, where I am now the Associate Dean of Student Affairs and Admissions. So I think that I think that I represent the possibility of being, no matter where you come from, no matter what you look like, no matter what your experiences are, if you have a passion and the drive and the will to move on to to go to college and go to medical school, it is just a matter of tenacity and effort and just being just focused. And it doesn't matter where you start, it only matters where you end. And so I don't know if you guys have questions about our medical school, our process, or my path, but I'm open to answering any questions.
Yeah, we have actually about 20 questions already. So
Okay, perfect. Let's go.
so the first one is the sweet question about the data for your GPA MCAT for admission to Charles
Right.
Drew. We want to know what's the average MCAT, what is the average GPA, the range GPA, the range MCAT,
Oh
and
my
then
gosh. Okay.
also what is the cutoff for the MCAT and the GPA. So we have a lot of those questions. So they're
Oh wow. Okay. So I don't have that data memorized, but we can skip over that one and let me get to that one when I get
get
to my
home.
house. Yes, because I'm driving right now, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's fine. This is somebody that are a current applicant that has an interview with CDU this coming Monday. And
Hmm.
CDU was always their top choice, and they're wondering what they should be preparing for an upcoming interview.
Well, for our interviews, we have blinded interviews. So our interviewers will not have looked at your application, your grades. And so what we do is we have standard interview questions that they're the MME questions. So they are questions that have to do about your drive, your focus, why medicine, and so it's less about your academics, it's more about your mission. Why medicine? Why CDU? What draws you to CDU? So really thinking about, why do you want to be a doctor? What a doctor to more importantly, a doctor to underserved and underrepresented populations. Being able to articulate that is very important. Sometimes we know what we want to do, but under stress and pressure, it's very difficult to really recall that, but really think about, like, why do you want to come to CDU, and how that mirrors our mission, which is taking care of underserved and underrepresented populations. What experiences have you had? How do you connect with that community, with those communities, and how have you prepared yourself? Mostly, those are the most important things, being able to share aspects about your journey, and being able to verbalize your connection to working with underserved and underrepresented populations, and wanting to be at a historically minority serving university. Did that
So
answer
this,
their Did I answer their question?
yes,
Okay, great.
I think so. This is another. The other one is see, do you have a rolling admission, or is it a set date?
It's a set date. We're like most schools that go through AMCAS. We have a interview process. We're in the middle of our selection and interview process, and about in the January and like February or so, we begin to trail off and begin to make our final selections and move into the last part of the admission cycle. So it's not a rolling admissions. We admit in the same period as most schools that use AMCAS, and our students will start in the early part of the middle of like the late part of spring, early like July or so, and into the fall. So yeah, we follow AMCAS, so we don't have a rolling admissions.
Um,
Yeah.
the other question, what date do you anticipate sending out secondaries for people that have submitted their applications?
So we are in the process of sending out secondaries for those who have applied. We've started interviewing as well. So that process is ongoing. And until we have the appropriate number of individuals who meet our mission, and we'll be interviewing for some time.
So this individual wants to know about CDU's accreditation.
Mhm.
Is it accredited yet?
So we are in the process of undergoing our LCME accreditation that most new schools will undergo, and our accreditation process is moving forward. We have a preliminary accreditation, and we have been prepping for our final accreditation visit. We had a LCME. We had a company and a group of individuals. We did a mock LCME accreditation process, and we did well. So our final one of our next steps in accreditation is the team will be coming out to our school in around January, February. And then once they do that, then we'll know for sure that we have our accreditation complete. And we're not too worried about it. We've been doing everything to make it happen. So, but we'll see. But we are in it. We are in the accreditation process. I'm going to disconnect for 1 second because I'm going to run in my house and turn on my computer. Okay?
Absolutely, go for it.
Give me a minute.
The only thing I know is most medical schools that start, they get a provisional accreditation. And usually by the time the first class that graduates will have it.
Almost there. Sorry.
That's all right.
I'm on a call. I'm on a call. Just give me a second. One second. Okay, I'm going to disconnect and come back on. Okay.
That's fine. Oh boy, we have like 52 questions. Hello,
I'm sorry, I am not the most tech savvy person.
you're doing fine.
I'm so sorry. Okay. All right. What was the rest of the question? I'm sorry.
What's the meaning of Black Understood? Um,
Uh, I don't know. I
uh,
wish I
I
knew.
I think we have a couple of repeats of the GPA MCAT grades. People are
Right.
asking about that.
So, the thing is, I don't like to say cut in stone MCAT GPA, but I would say that the GPA and the MCAT have to be like I would say a GPA 3.5 to 4 or 3.5 to 4, 3 between 3 and 4, 3.5 to 4, but you also have to have that balance between a MCAT score. Like we've taken MCAT scores of like 450, even up to like 500, 508, 509. So it really is it's not just the score, it's the package, it's your mission, it's your story, it's the distance traveled. So you want to be in the range. So I don't want to give like hard scores like, oh, I have this score or whatever. But it's again, in most schools, it is you have to have a GPA of this, but if your MCAT is like 507, 70 percentile or above, and your GPA might not be as strong and your essay is great, it's a combination of things. I mean, that's kind of like an answer, but not a real answer because really it's very difficult to say if you have a 3.0 and if you have a 3.5 and if you have a 505 or 508 on MCAT, but your essay and your message does not mesh with our mission. The really is everything, is the whole package together. It's your distance travel. What have you done to contribute to underserved and underrepresented populations? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I mean, see, the issue is that there is these things online now that a lot of pre-meds that go online and say, if you put in your GPA and your MCAT, it'll give you a percentages of what you get into a medical school, which is not
Yeah.
nuanced, it's not holistic, and there's a lot of
Right.
outliers. And
Right.
somebody will, I mean, I had somebody say, oh, I know this person got in with a MCAT of 500 to X and Y school,
Mm-hmm.
but then like their GPA was really high, but they were also a veteran, or they were
Yeah. So
also
yeah.
like they have all of these other things going on, and they're,
Right.
so it's kind of
So
like,
it's hard to say. I think it's much harder to say than when I was applying to medical school, where those things were very rigid. So, but I would say that we use a very holistic approach. We look at your community service or the lack thereof. We look at what you've done, what your distance travel, what have you overcome, what circumstances that might have stopped someone else, but you've kept going, But yes, there is grades. We look at grades, we look at MCATs, but having a high GPA and a high MCAT does not guarantee you a spot at our school. You have to be willing. The key part for us is what is your willingness to work in the underserved and underrepresented populations, people who are in marginalized parts of of the populations here. And it can't be, oh, I you do one thing to make that happen. It has to be, we have to see a trail of consistent work. And so, I mean, we look at everything, but if the person has good grades and a great MCAT score, but they are not aligning with our mission, it makes it harder for us to really say, okay, it doesn't mean that person won't get in, but it doesn't mean that they will. There's no guarantees in any of this. But
I would just say that this is something that I actually steal this from Dr. Carlisle, is that if you show up to your interview and don't know what FHQHC and social determinant of health
some
is,
helps are,
you're
yes,
probably not going to do well.
right.
And if
Definitely. I agree
and
with that.
and there's this really magic tool called Google, and I would definitely look up what it is, because it's not a TikTok, it's not a 30-second answer.
Right.
It's a very complex thing. And so, because there are a lot of people that are asking about what's the ideal candidate, what kind of candidates are you looking for?
Right. So we're looking for people who come for these communities. And if you don't come from a community that's underserved and underrepresented, but that you have a passion for serving and assisting those populations, that you have an understanding and knowledge of what happens in those populations and social determinants of health, why people are more likely to die by gunfire, why people are most likely to die by police, why is there high rates of obesity, diabetes, hypertension, drug addiction, all those things, like understanding, having a very holistic approach to what medicine is. And that is, people need to see, not want, but need to see people who look like them, who in some ways you don't have to have a similar experience, but you have to at least be able to understand and have empathy for people's experiences, and not have like a blank look when someone says, oh, you know, for instance, have you worked in like working in a shelter, volunteering at a woman's home where people have been abused, or just being in that community, being in the community that you want to serve, and being in a community that is underserved, and understanding that, those are the people that we are looking to take care of. We want individuals who want to take care of underserved and underrepresented minorities. It doesn't mean you have to be an underserved or underrepresented minority, but you have to have the affinity and the desire to take care of people who are marginalized. Does that make sense? So So that's why I really don't want like, oh, if you have a this and a this and a that, but because you can have a great score and great GPA, but when we look at what have you done, volunteering, what have you done to build your community service, giving back to the community, diversifying your experiences. If those things are not there, and you can't have a conversation about what you see your role as a physician in taking care of underserved and underrepresented minorities and populations, then it's a difficult sell for sure.
So this is a question, this is a several question, and I'm gonna ask this as judiciously as possible. This first couple people are saying they're Asian American, they're African, they're Hispanic Americans, and they're not sure if CDU will accept them, but they have a passion for urban underserved. Should they apply to CDU?
Yes, you should. You don't have to be black or Hispanic, or you could be people. There are underserved populations of every race, creed, and color in this country, in this world. Having a mission-driven purpose to take care of people who are in those populations is what is most important. They're poor people of every color. They're, you know, it just really you have to maximize the resources that you have to show and to share your passion, your essay, the interviewing process. Those are the things where, and when you document your activities, those are the opportunities to say, you know, I might not come from this population, but I have a passion for taking care of individuals who are in these populations, because that's really what it's about. We are here to serve the underserved and underrepresented populations.
And those populations are African American, Latino, Asian
Asian,
American,
Black, white, there's
purple.
poor people. Let me tell you, poverty does not discriminate. Difficult lives do not discriminate. It's really about, you don't have to have all this, but you have to have a willingness to want to take care of the people who are in those populations. And even when you go into practice, it doesn't mean that your practice is all those people, but your practice will accommodate people who have those experiences. I am a breast surgeon by training. When I was practicing, I saw a wide variety of people, ethnically, racially, and economically. But I have a passion, the same passion that I treat one person, I treat all people the same way. I don't measure it based upon skin color, religion, or race, or whatever. You have to have a passion for people who are not in positions to have the best. Let's say I'm a world-renowned surgeon. I want I am my purpose is to take care of, treat the millionaire, treat the poor person the same way I treat the millionaire, or vice versa. That is what our mission is about, taking care of people who need high
There.
level care from well-trained individuals.
So this person wants to know what are some of the unique programs and extracurriculars that CDU offers to medical students?
Our medical students we're a new school. So at this point, if you want to make a interest group, you have the leeway to make an interest group. We have interest groups based on specialties of interest. We have a diverse religious a group of communities or groups that mirror diverse religions. But most of our groups are specialty based, community based, or volunteer based organizations. Does that answer the question? And we do we help out. We give them a small budget, and it helps. Some of them are belong in like the SNMA, LSMA, and those kind of organizations. Some of them are part of our street medicine program where they go out and they assist our street medicine program working with the homeless populations. So it's a variety.
So this person, they said that they just completed an interview at
Mhm.
Drew, and how can they continue showing interest to the school because it's their top choice?
I mean, once you've gotten your interview, you can write a thank you letter to the people, email or a thank you email to the individuals who interviewed you. You should be able to find their email address online. Or yeah, I think because I've gotten a few thank you emails. So yeah, if you remember the name of the person, just connect with them and say thank you for the opportunity interviewing with you, and share with them like what that interaction meant to you and how it has really supported your desire or increased your desire to come to the school, and share a little bit more about your passion for wanting to come.
This is a question they want to know, where do med students do their rotations at CDU?
Right now, since we're approaching that very quickly, we have our students going to some of them are going to the VA, Long Beach Memorial, and California Medical Center. We're working on that connection. Some of them are going doing rotations at some of the UCLA sites. So we're working on a lot of those since our students are not quite there yet, but we're in the process. Shh, sorry, Cookie. Shh, shh.
Well, we got to
Sorry.
see Cookie now.
Oh, come on, Cook. Come here. Now she ran away. We are in the process of creating opportunities. Come here, and solidifying opportunities to have their clinical rotation. So they're going to like places like St. Francis and things like that. Miss Cookie.
Hi.
She said, "I'm a bad Jack Russell Terrier." All right, I'm sorry. Coco was here real quick. Come on. Okay. Shush. Hugo, come get the dog. I'm sorry. I'm just
That's
a
okay.
regular person with regular issues.
I
Oh,
know.
la, la. Okay, anything else?
Yeah. So this is another question. What are some of the ideal applicants?
Let me get them a treat so they can be quiet. Sorry. Shh. You like a burger. Oh my gosh. Hey. Sorry.
That's okay. Um,
Here, bye. Here, bye, bye. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
no, they want to know what's the ideal applicants for CDU MD program.
The ideal applicant. You know, it's oh man, we're not so cookie cutter actually. I mean, it's just really about you have to have a passion, you have to have a vision and a desire to serve underserved or underrepresented populations. While that most people think that's just in like primary care, but you could be in any specialty. But your goal and your mission is to level the playing field in healthcare. I think that's really the most important thing. Like, I mean, I think everybody thinks that to come to CDU, you have to say, I want to go into family medicine, pediatrics, or internal. I'm a breast cancer surgeon. I mean, you can't be any more super specialized than that. But because of the populations I choose to serve and take care of, it's based on being a person who went to CDU. So really underserved and underrepresented populations is really key. Having a passion for those, for people who don't have access to care, whatever your color is, but definitely is economically underserved, educationally underserved, healthcare access. The ideal person just really has to be able to, number one, meet the metrics, but more than that, be able to articulate in your essay and more importantly in your interview, why CDU? What is it about? Why? How? You have to be able to discuss it and say, these are the things that show that I'm dedicated to taking care of underserved and underrepresented populations. And that could be Asian, Black, African American, Hispanic, Caribbean, Caucasian. Poverty, being underserved, having lack of access to care does not discriminate. So it doesn't mean we only take Black people or Hispanic. We take people who have a passion for taking care of those populations. I mean, I mean, it sounds like I've
It's kind of
memorized
saying I want to be
something.
I want to win the Olympic medal in the 100, but I've never ran a 100-meter race. Or I want to
But
win
I
the
mean, no, but I think that it's that, but not really. Like I would love to be a gymnast, but I am almost 6 feet tall and almost over 200 pounds. That is not going to happen. But I love gymnastics. And so maybe I want to do something that has something to do with young people who are just orthopedics, or I want to do orthopedics, and using orthopedics, I can do two things. I can work within that group of people who I wanted to emulate in that way, but I also split my time taking care of people who don't have access to care. I go into communities and take care of orthopedic issues and problems of people who live in underserved and underrepresented populations. Does that make sense? So I don't want people to think that you have to be, oh, I'm just gonna not, make any, could make any money, but you're gonna be in debt. And you need to take care of your family, you need to pay your debt, but you also need to be willing and able to take care of people from these populations. And, I think sometimes people think it's just exclusive of everything else that you have to be able to have a balanced practice. You take care of a wide variety of people, but you take care of people who are underserved. A portion of your practice is taking care of the community. I feel like I'm not. Does that make sense? Does that answer the question?
yes.
So I don't want people to pigeonhole their mind about CDU. Yes, it's a huge part, but it's a huge part of who we are. It's our pedigree, but we want everyone to be able to be the doctor that they want to be, but understanding that part of coming to CDU is that from the day you come here, you're going to be volunteering, working with underserved and underrepresented populations, mentoring. We have Saturday science program. We have kids from the communities, surrounding communities that we work with. We talk to them and do things on Saturday with them about teaching them about medicine, whether that's nursing, radiology tech, the wide continuum of medicine, increasing the diversity in every aspect.
Some additional questions that we're seeing is, does CDU have preference for California residents? And does CDU accept international students who are already in the US on an F1 visa?
Oh, the F1 visa, now that's hard for me. I don't like right now because we're not fully accredited. That might be a hard sell. I can't say yes or no to that because we've not crossed that bridge, having only admitted 2 classes. And a lot of our students do not come from California. We have a lot of people from California, but I think we also have a large number of people who do not come from California. I came from Philadelphia when I was a student. So we want people who are mission driven. We want people who have a broader perspective about what it means to be a physician for underserved and underrepresented populations. We have students who have a passion for international medicine. there's underserved populations all over the world, but for us, they have that passion, but they're building their foundational work here at CDU, taking care of the populations here. And so we have we had a student who went for the first year after their first year, our students are required to do research. We had a student who, through one of our programs at CDU, went to Zambia and did research there because there's so many people who are underserved and underrepresented, who are at the lower portions of populations in terms of wealth that need healthcare, the research that needs to be done to help everybody. So I don't know.
Thank you for answering.
I mean, because it's not like a yes or it's not a yes or no, but it's like the lines are sometimes blurred with these kind of questions because it's not a definitive. And I'm telling you, there's a large portion of our students who are from out of state. I was out of state. So really, I think the unifying thing is experience, the research, the community service, the giving back, having a passion for underserved and underrepresented populations. And I want you all to understand that poor people, underserved people, underrepresented people, populations, we need primary care doctors, we need surgeons, we need psychiatrists. Psychiatrists are in the greatest need for all of the mental illness to address a lot of the mental illness issues that come along with being marginalized. So
Dermatologist.
dermatology, yes, yes. So I mean, I know people say, oh, you only can do primary care. We need
Hemo.
surgeons, we need psychiatrists, we need everybody to really address all the inequities that are present. So, but again, the common thread for us is what have you done in your community? What have you done to lessen the burden of people who are not as privileged as you may be? Or if you are one of the people, what is driving you to change your situation so that you can change the situations of other people who've had similar experiences as you? I know it sounds all sort of like vague, but I'm telling you, if you're is that is really the heart of it. God bless you, girl. Lord. All
Edith,
right.
do you
So
want
the
to ask
next
the next
next question.
question? Do you want to ask the next question?
Yeah, so I'm seeing some people asking if the UCLA pathway, if it's still there at CDU or has it been removed?
So, I'm so sorry. It's always the little dog. So the UCLA pathway. So when we admitted our first class, the UCLA pathway admitted their last class. So that means that UCLA, the CDU path is a standalone medical school, but UCLA still has a underserved. They still they still have students who they admit students who are interested in the underserved populations, and so they and their program itself has really evolved from when I was in it. It's very different, but they still have the students who are interested in treating underserved, underrepresented populations. But the connection between CDU and UCLA is no longer existent. But it's the same. Like when I was a student, it was a UCLA Charles Drew track, and there was a UCLA Riverside track. So the Riverside was a more rural, at least I think so. And then the CDU track was a more urban track. And then Riverside got their own medical school, so they separated from UCLA. So that's what we're doing now. Is our mission is the same. UCLA still has that underlying mission of wanting to they have an underserved track, so they still are taking individuals who are interested in an underserved population, but they're two separate schools.
Thank you. And then someone is asking, what aspects of Charles Drew made you return after clinical practice to become the associate dean?
They recruited her.
Actually,
they went after her.
they were, you know, actually, I was in Nashville, Tennessee, um, doing the work that I was doing. I had been there for 20 years. I really had no plan of leaving. Um, and the dean spoke to the president at my university and he recommended me and we talked and then next thing I knew I was in California. But I think the thing that drew me is that returning home and being able to continue to further my mission of taking care of underserved and underrepresented populations. I reach more patients by teaching every generation of physicians that go out to take care of those populations because my DNA as a physician and as an educator becomes a part of them. So my reach becomes exponential. I used to think about like, how am I going to take care of all these people that I see that look like me, that have the similar experience as me? Like I grew up, I never saw a Black doctor. I never had a doctor even touch me sometimes when I went to the doctor. You know, we were poor. So people were interested in, for me, being able to teach generations of physicians and classes of medical students and really help them to really see how important they are, how special they are, and how great they can be. It's the most amazing job I think I have. And so, while I'm not laying hands on patients, but I am by association when I teach students and when I talk to them about how important it is for them to be caring and kind physicians. That's part of the reason why I transitioned to the educational component. You know, I don't know if that's a long answer to a very short question.
Well, that was great. It was very interesting,
Um,
amazing to hear. Similarly to that, people are curious about your journey as a surgeon. They're wondering how long did it take you to become one? The person who asked says that they are a multi-tissue recovery technician and they are very interested in surgery.
Okay. So I did my undergraduate medical education at Charles Drew. And so in the between your first and second year, you get to do research. So I did research at Mass General and I worked with a pediatric surgeon. Because at first I wanted to be a pediatric surgeon. And so I came back and I did some more work. I went through medical school, still thinking I was going to be a pediatric surgeon. I did my residency in general surgery at King Drew Medical Center. And I was late for something, so I got punished. I was put on punishment and was sent to the breast clinic. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I found my people. And so I actually ended up doing some breast cancer research with Susan Love, God rest her soul. She's a great mentor. And then I ultimately, I left residency for 2 years to do research with her. And then I went back to residency and I went to Stanford to do my breast oncology fellowship because I looked at the numbers of Black women, Black and brown women, women of color dying from breast cancer. And a lot of it has to do with health literacy on the patient's part. But the other part of it is bias and communication. And so I said, I want to do my part. I want to be able to break down those walls of bias that keep women of color from getting the appropriate surgeon. Not every Black woman or every brown woman or every person of color needs to have a mastectomy. So that was my real goal and mission to be a breast cancer surgeon, to provide the highest quality of care. And it is something magical that happens when a patient sees somebody who looks like them. Their body relaxes and then they feel heard. And when you really hear them, you really make your job about the business of hearing people and speaking with them about their options and showing them and drawing pictures. It really changes the landscape of outcomes and it changes you as a person. And so it's probably more you want to hear, but I mean, it all started for me at CDU, going to my rotations as a medical student at CDU, seeing all those And I was at CDU when the gang warfare was way out of control. So seeing all these families being torn apart and really the emotion of all the injury, all the, the inequities, the health disparities, the lack of care, and it really propelled me to be the best medical student, the best resident, the best fellow, the best surgeon I could be, and really take care of every person as if it was my family member, because in fact, it was my family member that I was taking care of. Because my people, even as I am a surgeon, my family still is at risk for having health inequities. My sister was in the hospital and they called me, but once I started talking to the person, and I didn't say I was a doctor, but I explained to them about what was going on and what she needed. Then they asked me, was I a doctor? I was like, yes, but then her care changed. So it's about having that ability to just take care of your people and your family, your genetic people, but your people as a whole, and making a difference and seeing someone smile when you walk in a room, a black, a brown, whatever color you are, a person come in the room and they see you and they are just like so proud of you. Like they don't even know you. And like I had a patient crying. They were just so happy to see me. If I didn't know if I knew anything at all, but they were just, it's just, there's so much about representation that really matters. It sounds really cliche, but it's so much about seeing somebody, step on dog, seeing somebody who looks like you, who speaks your language, who can speak Mandarin, who can speak Tagalog, who can speak, Spanish, French. I mean, you're a French Creole person from New Orleans and somebody who can speak that. It's just something so magic. I'm gonna so it's something so magical when you see someone who represents you, you know, and it's really not just about race, it's about economics, poor hunger and poverty touches every race. I feel like the louder I talk, the louder she barks. But I want everyone to stop it. Stop. That's enough. That's enough. Oh my gosh.
We can't even hear.
You can't? Oh my God, I can hear her. She drive me crazy. Okay, but what I'm saying is that, it's about environment, exposure, finances, race, you know, gender assignment. There's so many ways to be in a marginalized population, but it is very helpful, whomever your people are, it's transformational for them to see you. And so for whoever you represent, you have to be the best medical student, the best college student, the best medical student, the best resident, the best physician you can be, because you are trying to fight for the inequities of whoever you represent. So yeah, I think my work is hard. I had a hard day today, but it's very heartwarming. And I had a student of mine come in and say, "Oh, you don't look like yourself. You're not so bubbly." And I really had a hard day. And she just gave me a hug. And of course, I was crying, but it's because you build relationships with people, patients, your colleagues, your students. And it's just something magical about being in the medical field, being a physician who teaches, being a medical student, being a resident, that it is very transformational. It is a very coveted, blessed, and a special place and a special thing to be. And I wish that everybody under the sound of my voice who wants to be a doctor, I'm praying that you will be able to be a doctor and meet your goals. And just, I didn't get in the first time. I had to go to post-bac. And so you just have to be resilient and be able to continue to do the things that you need to do to make your dream happen. Some people it happens like right away, but for some people, for others like myself, you have to really understand your purpose in life, and it'll happen. Just you do the work, do the right thing, listen to the feedback, not take it personal because it's personal, but and it's hard to hear sometimes, but to be open to hearing what people have to offer you to be a better student, to be a better doctor, resident, medical student, aspiring medical student. Yeah. Am I over time?
No,
Or
no,
should,
you're okay. Do you want to ask
okay.
that other question, Edith?
Thank you so much for that answer. It was really amazing to hear.
But
Other
Dr. Susan Love is big time
That's my,
breast cancer. She
yeah,
passed
but
away recently, but
yeah, it was so sad. But I'm
yeah,
gonna
she's
tell
big
you,
time.
this is how you have to be persistent. I wanted to do research with her. Her administrative assistant told me she's not taking any research people. I sent my CV and she never showed it to her. So I wrote a little letter. I put it in with my CV and I mailed it, expedited, special, whatever kind of, and on the back of it I wrote confidential, Susan Love only. And so then she called me. You got to be hungry. You got to be creative. You got to be hungry. You got to keep pushing. No is not always never. No is just not now sometimes. It just means you got to do a little bit more work. So, and I am a living example of that. That no is not, it just means not right now. So,
You briefly touched upon this when you were sharing your story. As a first gen person and student, what were some of the challenges that you went through, like during your career and the application process? Do you have any advice for other first generation students?
I think as a first gen person, I think sometimes you just don't know what to do. And I think when you're at that part of all you know is you want to be a doctor. And I think that you just have to ask people, what do I need to do? If you're in the undergrad or at the junior college, go to that person who that's their job to tell you what you need to do to move forward. Um, and go to, if you're still an undergrad, go to find out, are there any programs, is there any way you can volunteer, like if you're in Los Angeles, we have a Saturday science program. If you're a pre-med student, maybe you can help work with the elementary and high school students, that are trying to get into who are interested in maybe a field in medicine at any level. I think that um you have to always keep your dream and your goals in front of you, and you got to be unshakable about them. People will tell you no, your grades might not come out like you want them to. You just have to do, okay, what can I do to make this grade better? What can I do to what experience can I have? How can I use my research? Can I have a clinical experience that will support that will give me a letter that tells about who I really am and what my passion is. You really have to have that's when I always think you really have to have a complete application. When you apply, if there's a little deficit, you have to show, like, how did you try to overcome that? How did you supplement that? I talk so much I can't even, did I answer the question? Okay.
This is a little bit more specific to Charles Drew. Someone is asking if shadowing is required to apply, and if so, does scribing count as shadowing?
Shadowing is not required. Um, I think you can do a couple hours of shadowing. I don't think you need 100 hours of shadowing. It's just saying that shadowing can be a way of saying that I am exploring and trying to develop my interest in medicine. I never shadowed because I didn't know any doctors. I mean, growing up where I grew up, there were no, I didn't know any doctors except for the one doctor that my whole family went to, who was not a nice guy. But I never, I mean, so I think that It's not required. It's helpful. It shows that you're interested, but there are other ways to show that you have an interest in taking care of underserved populations, working at a food bank, giving your time in a very authentic way, working at a homeless shelter and big brother, big sister, different things like that. You can shadow, but I mean, you don't have to do hours and hours and hours and hours of shadowing. Your time can be well spent making a difference in your community. Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of questions about just the data you guys have so far. People are wondering how many people have applied to CDU, how
Okay.
many interviews do you think you will be sending out, and how much different is that from last year?
Right. So the first year we had about 600 applications or so. The second year we had about 4,000. We're up to over 6,000 now and counting. So definitely the word is out that we're here and the experience that our students are having, our numbers have really, really increased. What was the second part?
Yeah, they're wondering how many interview spots are you extending and if that changed at all.
Um, so Dr. Loaiza is a better person who she handles all of our admissions, but I think that we will stop interviewing when we have the class we want. I mean, that's the truth of it. When we have the class that we want, that's when we'll stop. But we're still interviewing though. So, we're still interviewing now. Yeah.
They want to know, do you have to, so this is the set of questions. Do you have to do research? Can you not do research and get admitted? Do you have to do shadowing and not shadowing? Do you have to do community service and not community service? So
Right.
can you talk about why are those things important, or
Okay, sure.
how you look at them
Mhm.
and not just a checklist?
Yeah, so all of those things are very important for us. Research is important because it tells us that it helps to build your analytical skills, your problem solving and question answering skills in terms of if there's a problem or issue that you have the ability to think through that process. So it's really not about the result of the research, but that do you understand the thought process of doing research? So that part is really important because it can carry over into studying and preparing. What was the other thing? The other two?
Just about research, community service, um,
What was the last one?
and research, community service, and clinical hours or shadowing.
Shadowing. So shadowing is good because it helps you to gain an understanding of what it is to be a doctor. Those hours are important, but if you have like 10,000 hours of shadowing and you don't have research and you don't have dang, what was the second one? I'm sorry, my brain is research. Oh, community service.
Yeah.
Community service is very important because that's what we are. We are servants of our community. You need to be able to show that you are a active participant in the community that you live in, because that's key for us at CDU. That we are a part of the community and we serve and take care of the community. So we value community service in a big way. Research, like I said, is really about building your toolkit of analytical thinking and thought process. And also as you train, it helps you to problem solve a lot of the issues that are plaguing underserved and underrepresented populations. So being able to have exposure to research and then be able to participate in research as an undergrad, because we do research the summer of the first year, and some students do research throughout their educational process. Also, and then so community service and shadowing. It's good to have to say, look, I've investigated, I've explored what it means to be a doctor. I see what it means to be a doctor. It helps me to really say, yes, I want to do it, but you don't need 10,000 hours of shadowing.
Another
So you'll
question.
have somebody who has like all these hours of shadowing, but there's no community service.
The only thing that I would also say that if you're just showing up to a place, keep showing up. If they're not asking you to do more,
Mhm.
because if they've seen you after a while, they hope they like you and trust you, then you should definitely, like, if you're doing the same thing over and over again and not, usually like if you show up to certain clinics, if you're keep showing up long enough, they may train you to do something else. Or
Okay, right.
I know that I work in the ER, and some of the people that have showed up by just showing up and stuff, we ended up hiring as clerks or stocking or other things, and they worked their way up. And
You have
some
to
of
be
them,
but you have to be interested and you have to be, available and affable and interested. And you have to be a little bit of a go-getter too. You have to show people, look, okay, I saw when someone comes in like this is what y'all usually do. Let me get the chair, or let me get the pillow, let me get the things let me do what I can do
let
in
me
the
be useful.
situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you want to ask those couple of other ones?
Yeah, so we're seeing a lot about the class and the curriculum for CDU. People are wondering how big the incoming class will be. Is the our classes pass fail? Our lectures in person or online? That sort of question.
So lectures are in person. Sometimes we do have some remote learning, but the bulk of our lessons are in person. Um, what was it? I'm telling you, my brain.
Don't worry about it. They want to know what the size of the incoming class will be.
Right. So our first four classes will be 60 students. And once we get full complement and accreditation, the plan is to, I believe, to double that per class. But we're also in the process of building our new medical education building. So we can't even double that until we get our new medical education building. So by the time we get to our fourth class, that building should be built. And then we'll be able to accommodate a larger number of students. So it was the class size and I
Pass
asked
fail.
Mr. Pass fail. The grades are pass fail. Classes are pass fail.
And then somebody said they heard a rumor that medical school is going to expand by 2026.
They're gonna what?
They're going to expand their school by 2026.
School or a school?
Your school.
Oh,
Judy.
so well, it's 20, what year is this? 2024, 2020. So the first class was 2020, 2022 to 2023, 2023 to 2024, 2024, 2025, 20. Yes, 2020. Well, the class that comes after the 2026 class, the one that ends in 20, yeah. So about the fifth class will go, it'll expand. The first four classes are going to be 60 because we're still going, we should be through accreditation by the time the fourth class is admitted.
And you got to build it in order for them to come, right?
Right. And we have a building that should be done by then that will accommodate everyone.
So this is a question somebody's asking that on the MSAR, it showed that Charles Root had low number of applicants last year relative to other medical schools. Is there going to be increase in applicants in future years? And I would just say yes.
Yes. And part of
You
it is
build it, they
people,
will come.
yes.
Field of
I
dreams.
the first 2 years, like I said, we started out with like like maybe 2,000 or whatever, because we entered the application process very late. We got the go ahead to open our program very late. So we didn't have a lot of numbers that first year. So the second year we started with at the same time as everyone else. And um so we got like 4,000 and like now we're up to 6,000. So every year it's gonna go up. I mean, people are learning about it. Our students are doing well. That's the best advertising is how are our students doing? How are they doing as they go out and do research? And so, and even when they go to, one thing we do that I think is a little bit different, our students during their first year were able to go to conferences that were specialty driven. And so they got a lot of exposure. But yeah, we have over 6,000 right now. We're up to 6,000 on our third year class, and we'll definitely go over that when we admit the fourth class. So yeah, as our once we get our accreditation, then we'll probably get even more applications because we'll be expanding our class size.
This person wants to know, what's the deciding factor uh, for you to send applicants secondaries and interview invitations and admission offers?
So our screening process, we look at all the things. We look at community service, we look at GPA, we look at MCAT score, we look at distance travel. So all those things that I mentioned before, we do a holistic review. So if someone has a super high MCAT score, but they didn't do any shadowing, they didn't do any research, they didn't do any community service, that's not a person for us. We're looking at we want people who have shown commitment to the populations that we want to serve. So, I mean, I don't know how else to say that. Yeah, because it's really very true. Our application processes, that is exactly what we do.
People want to know about financial aid and financial support and what kind of things are
Mhm.
offered at CD.
So we do have some full tuition scholarships and some full ride scholarships. So we have Sutter. We have a relationship with Sutter, and so we had our first the second year class had our first five Sutter scholars. They got full tuition paid for their whole time at CDU. And we have um the California shoot, I'm blanking on it now.
LA Care.
LA Care, thank you. LA Care is full ride scholarships, and we have about 3 or 4 of those. So we just got our big money from um
Bloomberg.
Bloom, thank you. At the end of the day, we got over how many million? We got like 100 and some odd million from Bloomberg. I don't know. We got a lot of money. We got millions from Bloomberg. So, but most of that, there's not really been a lot of discussion about how that's going to be spent because we haven't really got it yet. But those talks are in the mix. But we do have our relationship with Stutter is pretty solid. And so every year we're going to have about 5 Stutter scholars, and those are full tuition. But those people who do that usually they want them to be from Northern California or willing to move to Northern California to practice. So, and then we have a lot of other partial scholarships that we get from different organizations. So we have scholarships to give, but they vary. But the two big ones we have are the Sutter and tell me again. I'm tired.
Sutter LA Care.
LA Care, Sutter and LA
And
Care.
then also the California for something.
No, California.
California Met Force. That's after you're done. National Health Service Corps. Sorry.
Yeah, that's different. That's once you do that as a resident because you do your training at a place that has that, and then you stay. I believe, yeah.
And you guys do have an LMSA student organization, right?
Yes, we have SNMA, LMS, LSMA. We have a Muslim student organization. We have a bunch of interest groups depending upon specialty. So we have a lot of organizations at our little school. But we want everybody to feel represented. We want everybody to feel that their area of medicine is equally as important. And yeah. And of course, everyone should feel that the people that there are people from their background that if they want to build an organization, if you have enough people, that's fine. You can, but it has to be open to everyone. It can't be just exclusive to just, it's open to everyone. So anybody can join LMSA. Anybody can join SNMA. It just, those are our organizations. If you have an interest in those organizations, you should be able to join. That's how it is at CDU.
And then so they're asking about the scholarships. Are they need-based or merit-based?
Well, Sutter is so those scholarships are regional. So you have to be either from California, like either from LA for LA Care or from Northern California, Sacramento area up there. So I think part of those are location. And so what we do is we submit all of our students from those particular who qualify for those. And there's actually a board at each organization that picks the students. So we don't pick, we select the people who fit the requirements for the scholarship, but the actual selection comes from the people who are providing the funds.
Um, so so the other question I have, the other question people asking, do you have veterans office or support for veterans, or what kind of support you have?
Right now, we have one veteran, but I think the school as a whole has a veterans support for veterans. So yeah, we do have we have one veteran in our medical school right now. But that kind of resource is a university-based resource.
Another,
Go ahead.
sorry, I was going to say another question I'm seeing is, how does Charles Drew view letters of intent and update letters? I think a lot of people are interested on, they got an interview. They really want to show their commitment to CDU.
We read them and um it's helpful to know that that people are dedicated and really wanting to come. It honestly, I just it's really hard to say. We really don't put those in as much as they don't carry a lot of. I don't really want to say they don't carry a lot of weight, but we really try to stick within our rubric that for the type of people we want. So
The other question somebody is asking about the structure lectures. Are they classroom? Are they small group? How are the lectures?
all of the above. We do large group, we do small group, we have lectures, and depending upon the lecture, we have a course that looks at medicine and society. So it starts out in a big group, and then they break out in smaller groups with their physician leads, and they talk about different topics. And so it's a combination of both. The basic science courses are big groups. It's just a classroom where everybody's in a classroom together getting a lecture. Um, we also do so we have some simulation opportunity. We have we have anatomized tables. We have in terms of we have a bunch of simulators. So a lot of it can be hands-on. Most of it is in classroom, it's lectures. Um, and we have clinical skills where the students work on a weekly basis with standardized patients. And they go and they learn how to do the exam and ask questions and interview the standardized patients. So it's it's a variety of ways. It's a variety of ways of learning. We just don't do lecture. It's not like old school where when I was in school, we sat in lecture all day. And then we got to the third year, we saw patients all day. So it's really a mixed model.
Some people want to ask about the mental health resources
Mhm.
and student um well-being and
Right.
what's available. Like,
So for mental health resources, we have we have a student life program where we have two psychologists. One is dedicated just to the medical school and one is dedicated to the overall school. So we have a psychologist that's dedicated to our medical school, and she is positioned within the medical school. Like she was 3 doors down from me, but because of the privacy issue, we had to move her into another building so adjacent to or close by to us, but so there could be some privacy because people, and any stigma with about going to talk to the psychologist. So we have we have the psychologist, we have student life. We have a lot of resources. We have the student life program where they provide opportunities for students. They provide fresh produce, different opportunities for massages. It's like they have something different. So it's a lot of things to really manage and to really deal with the psychosocial part of medical school, which can be very hard. And we also like in our learning, we have a course called the Learning Communities where the students belong to different communities named after Black and Brown physicians. And what we start out in a large group where we have someone come and talk, and then we break out in our smaller groups and talk about the topic and have dinner together. So that's an opportunity. We have dinner together. Um, a couple of times a semester, we have dinner together at the school. We provide lunch, we provide all kind of opportunities. So, we know that especially when the school first starts, we understand that there's a big transition point for people financially. And so we provide food, we provide lunch and dinner almost every day. So, until
can I come there? Can I come and
yeah,
visit?
you're welcome anytime, anytime.
No.
But we understand that a lot of students don't have money. I mean, again, my parents were on welfare. So when I finally got to medical school, I was just like, it's expensive and it was hard. But we understand that, and we understand whatever someone's situation is. We have this thing called the benevolence fund. We had a student's car broken into. If all the student has to do is have a legitimate reason to need financial assistance. We provide that assistance and you don't pay it back because we want to provide our students an environment where they are stress-free from a lot of different issues. So we have a benevolence fund where we support students who have unexplained or not unexplained, but unanticipated financial issues.
They want to know what kind of resources like step exam, test
Wow,
preparation,
everything.
study
Every
skills.
resource that you can. So our students don't buy any books. We provide every resource that you can think of. All of them are electronic. If they need a textbook, we provide the textbook. Their diagnostic kits. Like I paid for my diagnostic kit. I paid for all my books. We have um step one. We have step one prep. What are all the resources? All those. It's so many books. They have everything you can think of, and we also have SIs. They're supplemental instructors. They're people who have graduated from medical school and residency who are either taking step two or who are in between, getting a medical school and a residency spot. And so they serve as tutors. We also have something called med school coach, and that's an excellent resource. I love that resource. And it's one-on-one tutoring, but it's remote and it's one-on-one tutoring. And you get, if you are having trouble or struggling, you get hours. We assign a number of hours for that. Now, those resources will come from our academic support team. We have two psychologists, not psychologists, they're two PhDs in education, and they really support our students in every way. They like you do a Myers-Briggs. We do all kind of assessments to really understand like how the students learn individually, and they manage the students and help the students to really and support them to make so that they can utilize their learning skills or their skill sets to be successful. And if they need additional, tutoring, whatever, we provide all that free of charge, as part of what we do to make sure that everybody's successful. So we provide books, we provide all their resources, we provide Sketchy, all those little funny little name resources that everybody has now. So whatever it is, and if some like we have sometimes the students will say, can we get this particular one? And then that we didn't have on our radar, and the students are like, yeah, this is great. So we'll try it out for a year and see how it goes. But we provide all of those, all the educational resources that you need are provided. You get a laptop, so we try to meet the needs of our students so that those things are not stumbling blocks to their success.
The other question is, people want to know, like, so if you are doing shadowing, is scribing considered shadowing? And also, if you can't have uh, like non-clinical jobs like waitering and other stuff, does that count against you or is that for you?
Oh, that's about resilience. That's like you do what you have to do to survive. That's a checkpoint for resilience. Being able to work and study and still move towards your dream. That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. Shadowing and scribing. Shadowing and scribing are two different things. Scribing is like a job, right? People get paid to do that. Shadowing is just you're using your time to follow. But as a scribe, you learn a lot being a scribe because you learn about the questions that are asked. You learn about what are the important you begin to learn a process of based upon a chief complaint, what is the thought process for asking the appropriate questions and deciding on a physical exam, things like that. So I mean either one is great, but scribing is a job, and then it's okay to have a job in the medical field. That will not count against you because you have to live.
Yeah, I mean, if try to try to do get what is it? Try to get paid the most you can for limited time as you can.
I mean, but yeah, because when you get to medical school you can't work. Your job is medical school. And that is probably almost all medical schools. It's very unlikely for people to be able to work as first, outside of medical school. I know for us, you can't have a job.
Somebody wants to know that they've applied, but they haven't heard. Somebody else wants to know they've applied, they've been interviewed, or they've received secondary and they've submitted, they've not heard. They've been interviewed and they've not heard. What should they do besides not going crazy?
Don't go crazy. So there we have it's a lot of applications, and there's not we have a relatively it's not a big team, so we're getting through everything. So I would say to be patient. Yeah, just be patient.
Can I just add one thing? Don't call and yell at the staff. That's not a really good way to do it.
Yeah, that's not going to help, especially if you leave your name. There's no, I mean, but we understand. No, trust me, we understand that if you are anxious, this is your life, it's stressful, you want to know, but at the same time, you're looking at your oneself. And we are looking at 6,000, 7,000 applications, and to try and be really fair to each applicant. I think that we want to do for every applicant that everything we can to make sure that,
I just put the
they,
contact there.
oh yeah, great. I think we have an email too. Let me see what
Yeah,
they,
I put that in there.
okay, great. It's a generic med school email or something.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would just say that don't be that annoying person and be courteous to the staff. That's the only thing that I would just say, but
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's stressful. It is stressful. But, I think that, you're not alone, and, sometimes no news is good news.
and stay off the message boards.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's very generational. I think it's very hard to do that, but it's very generational. Like for me, I mean, can you imagine like when I was applying to medical school, it was just silence. Like you didn't know anything. And if you found out anything, it was in the mail. So
oh wow, they didn't email you guys back?
I don't think I had email back then. I mean, did I have email? I don't remember if I had email back then. That's crazy, right?
Um, so this is the last question because it's like 6:40 and it's
I can
much
go till
late.
7 if I mean, whatever you decide.
Um, I could do it, but I'm at work and actually start work at 7, so I
Okay,
have to
okay,
walk out.
never mind.
So I could probably go like 10 more minutes. Um,
Okay, that's fine.
somebody wanted to know, they applied once to CDU and got rejected.
Right.
Are they doomed? Should they apply again? What
Yes, she applied
what do you
again.
recommend?
Apply again. Show your progress. Show that you called, and so hopefully you called and said, how can I make my application better? I was not a one-time applicant. I applied twice. I went to postback I applied, didn't get in, went to postback, and then I applied. But what I'm saying to you is that it's not just the applying. If you get rejected, ask for feedback. And then when you get the feedback, be about the business of checking those boxes, taking the opportunity to work on that feedback that you got. Figure out what could I do better. And I've seen people, I go, oh my gosh, well, not in this application pool, but in my old school. I've seen people in my old school where I was at for like 20 years. Like I was like, oh, I remember this guy from last year, and I remember his MCAT score was whatever. Oh, he improved on his MCAT, or he improved on his community service, or she did this, or she did that. So many people are multiple applicants have multiple applications. And I think we have this. Oh, this dog is always the little dog.
We can't hear them.
Really, she's driving me crazy. Okay. So I think that I think that as human beings, we always think that the person sitting next to you is doing so much better. You just never know. So that's why you have to just really focus on you, focus on your application. If you don't get in, ask, how can I improve my application? You can write an email and ask that, and you can get feedback, you know? So the key is, what are you doing on the next application process and that has shown you have grown, oh, you need more community service. I got my community service, I improved my MCAT, or I retook a class that made my GPA go up. I just think no just means not now. I'm really a firm believer of no means not now, because that's what it meant for me. I didn't get in the first time. And I got into a postbac program. And then I got into CDU. But it was because I didn't get in the first time. So what was going on? I did research. Then I did research for a year. Then I went to a postbac program. Then I started figuring out you can't check a box if you don't know what the box is you need to check. So you can ask for feedback, but you have to be about the business of getting better, meeting the metric of what it is that people are looking for applicants. And if you don't, if you don't go to a post-bac, maybe you can do research, or maybe you can, because not everybody can do that. Not everybody can like not work and take out more loans. But maybe you can take your class at night. You can work in a hospital setting. You can be a scribe, but you can do the things that will make you a more competitive application. But you need to ask, what do I need to do to be a better applicant? And it might be that, oh, you need more research. You need more clinical exposure. You need more volunteering. Yeah, it's the same. I mean, those are the key things, you know? Maybe you need to take the MCAT again, take an MCAT course and really, try to improve your score.
So this person
Person
wants to,
wants to.
oh, sorry, this person wants to know about the UC Davis pre-health conference. I know that Miss Ledesma goes to all the conferences. Is somebody from the MD program going to be there? I also
When is
told
that?
them the UC Davis pre-health
No,
conference.
when is it?
Oh, it's November 2nd.
Okay. I have to talk with my staff and we'll see. Where is in Davis?
Yeah, Miss Ledesma goes to all of them.
Yeah, she will. Okay, she will definitely go, but maybe we can have a rep we just hired an admissions rep, an admissions person, a director of admissions. So maybe he would be able to come and be there and meet with, people and we can have a face to our school. That would be the medical school. So,
Yeah, I
yeah,
know
I
Miss
would,
Ledesma always goes and grabs someone.
yeah. But it'll probably be, Robin, Mr. Clay, will probably be the person to go there. So we just hired him about, 4 or 5 months ago. So, he would more likely be the person to go along with her.
Um, this is another MCAT question. Somebody said that you mentioned that a 450 is the minimum, and I think the lowest
I didn't say it was a minimum. I didn't mention
472 is
minimum.
the lowest. Yeah, the if you show it to the MCAT, just write your name on the computer and miss every single one of them wrong is a 472.
Right. I
So
did. Well, okay. So then I misspoke. But that's why I don't like minimal.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't like to say those kind of numbers. But the key is that you need to do the best you can. And if you need to take the test again, well, that'll be our feedback. If you ask for feedback that you need to take the test again. So thank you for the corrections.
yeah. No.
Dr.
I know you didn't say 450. I know you
Yeah.
didn't say. You
But
said there's a
Dr. Look
range.
for
Yeah.
Yeah, but 480 for, we 49, but it's really, here's the deal. There's such a huge jump in the percentage. We really look at the percentage than anything, but it's such a huge jump in that. But Dr. Loaiza and Ryan, and I'm sorry, and Robin are the people who really look at those numbers. So, because I'm mostly student affairs, even though I'm in charge of admissions, I do admissions, but the deep details of like, that score. I don't always remember the score, so my apologies for that.
The MSAR has a range, but ranges are, between various numbers, and so or averages are
But
between
again,
ranges.
though, there is a percentage that we would like, you know, for you to, but the thing about it is it's a holistic approach. Yeah.
The question there, this is actually a good question.
Sure.
The
I
CDUs
hope you have a
and
good answer.
they said that Los Angeles is a heavily Hispanic community. Is
Mhm.
there emphasis and access to learning Spanish?
Yes, we have a medical Spanish group. We have a medical Spanish club, and it's actually run by one of our African American students who actually speaks Spanish. She actually went to Spain as her summer research. She went to Spain and traveled in Europe, in Spanish speaking countries, learning about their medical process. And so, yes, there is a Spanish club. Mhm.
Yeah, somebody there's a data that I read that in Los Angeles County, like 27 or 29% of the people speak Hispanic Spanish language only. something like that. So yes, it's if
So I took Spanish in college and never used it again until I became a resident at MLK. And I'm telling you, I learned most of my Spanish from the patients because I learned how to say "Cómo se dice?" And that's just how do you say? And my Spanish was very good. I was able to do a history, a physical. I was good. But then, you don't use it, you lose it. But yeah, it's easy. You just have to you could do an online course, or we have a Spanish club, and what they do, they come together and they speak Spanish. And there are native Spanish speakers in the club. There are people who are trying to learn Spanish. But the young lady who started that club actually had knew some Spanish, but she wanted her Spanish to be better. So her summer research was going to Spain and to Europe to talk to people about medicine in Spanish speaking countries. So
yeah, I know that there's a app that I use is I mean there was a app that was used Canva, but also all of your phones now have translator, and I use it all the time working in the ER. So um and just translate, yeah. And that's how you learn. Is you gotta be put in that situation. Now, my dream is to go live in Spain or Chile or somewhere fun for a summer to learn it, but that's neither here nor there. But
hey, you
anyhow,
never know. The opportunity may arise. You just never know.
yes. Um, I actually have to go to work, so I'm sorry that I have to
It's
cut
okay.
this short. Thank
I hope this was helpful.
thank you again for coming, and hopefully we could have you come again. And thank you for making time for us. And I know that you're running across LA traffic, so
Okay.
just thank you again.